This One's Wife, the Inter-Family Grift Cup. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and you join me for an episode of the Inter-Family Grift Cup, where we throw family members against one another to see who is the ultimate grifter, as they seek to out-grift one another. And today, we have a mouth-watering tie, which brings together the Sussexes, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and his wife, this one's wife, the Duchess of Sussex, who are facing off against the more mature coupling of the Yorks. They're divorced, but they still hang out together. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. This promises to be a compelling tie of gargantuan grifting, as immediately ensuring that she takes centre stage as usual, this one's wife leaps into the ring, demonstrating the flexibility that men on yachts have enjoyed for a number of years. She immediately leads with her grifting in relation to Spotify, demonstrating the fact that she and her husband were called fucking grifters by the executive at Spotify as a consequence of the provision of a shitty podcast which bored most people, was ridiculed by many others, and then was ended after one short season. And she follows up by insisting on full-time security funded by British taxpayers, even though she stepped back from royal duties, as she expects perpetual royal perks as part of her grifting. Ooh, and now a real hammer blow as a consequence of the grift that is Netflix. The receipt of significant sums of money and the glacial delivery of wanky content that was either laughed at or sent people to sleep, with viewing figures falling off a cliff. That's maximum grift being demonstrated there. But she's not finished yet. She grifted by buying a spot on the New York Times bestseller list for her memoir, or rather her book, The Bench, seeking to inflate its success artificially, trying to grift her way into being an esteemed author. And also, she complained about her accommodation, the royal privilege of Frogmore Cottage. She saw as an inherent entitlement. She showed no gratitude for it, but even went so far as to complain about the provision of this accommodation as not being good enough. She wanted a castle. She was on the grift for a castle. There we see it, the smirk of this one's wife, as she's particularly pleased with that list of grifting that she has utilised. Who is going to try and challenge her? Well, here he is. He's not sweating because he doesn't sweat. It's Prince Andrew who's entering the ring. He's looking confident, that boorish arrogance turned up to the maximum as he eyes this one's wife up and down with a familiarity that suggests that they've been there before. He starts off by reminding us of the fact that he demanded a Fabergé egg as a gift during an official trade mission to Azerbaijan while serving as the UK's special representative for international trade and investment. It's a fairly meaty blow which has this one's wife staggering back under the force of it already. He then follows up by telling us all about the time that he accepted a £750,000 wire transfer from Turkish millionaire Nebahat Ezbilyan, initially claimed as a wedding gift for his daughter Beatrice, but he later had to repay it amid legal scrutiny. And then he goes in with forming a lucrative business partnership with shady financier David Rowland to promote his Luxembourg-based Bank Haviland, leveraging royal connections for access to elite clients. Ooh, big grift there. He then receives $5 million in cash stuffed into a suitcase from corrupt foreign leaders during trade missions, ensuring that palace officials turn a blind eye. He allows Jeffrey Epstein, convicted pervert, to bail out his ex-wife, who we can see nodding there from behind the ropes, with amounts estimated at up to around $2 million. This one's wife is reeling under the onslaught, But the Duke of York's not stopping. He's reminding us of the fact that he accepted an £18,000 solitaire diamond necklace for daughter Beatrice from convicted Libyan gun smuggler Tarek Katouni during a lavish holiday. And then he delights in reminding us all of the fact that he was nicknamed Air Miles Andy for racking up millions in taxpayer-funded and private jet travel expenses on official duties, often blending personal luxury with business. And now, slam! He sells his Sunning Hill Park mansion to Kazakh billionaire Timur Kulbiev, son-in-law of the Kazakh president, for £12 million in cash, £3 million over the asking price, raising money laundering suspicions. That is some heavyweight grifting. And this one's wife is reeling under that onslaught. She's staggered back against the ropes, and she's reached out for the hand of the Prince of Pink Pancakes, who clambers in, dressed in his Borat onesie, as he attempts now to try and redress the damage that has been caused as a consequence of that onslaught from his uncle. What can the Prince of Pink Pancakes fight back with? And the Ginger Menace is straight in there, as he recalls publishing Spare, detailing private family matters, including drug use and physical altercations with his brother, name-calling his stepmother, lashing out at various family members, all for a reported $20 million advance. He's exploiting his family for profit. The grift is big. And Uncle Andrew looks a little bit perturbed as a consequence of that. Harry also provides a reminder of his part in the Netflix deal, but Andrew doesn't seem particularly bothered by that. Now, in comes Harry with the fact that they've utilised HRH titles at Sussex.com. Despite agreeing to drop Royal Highness for commercial purposes, Harry incorporated the titles into branding for business ventures. He launched Archwell, he tells us, with royal affiliations, leveraging his own princely status to attract donors, which of course included US aid funds totaling over $40 million amid allegations of mismanagement and the misuse of those funds on private matters. And that's really got to Andrew. With the size of that donation, we've seen him stagger back under that onslaught. Harry then reminds us about the grift that took place with Senator Barley, with the suggestion that basically it was all being done to make him look good and to cover up bullying and attempting to commercialise events with Netflix crews without permission. And he follows up with a haymaker, explaining that he sought to use Senator Barley polo events to film Netflix. Yes, he pushed for unauthorised filming at charity matches, leading to lost venues and financial strain on the organisation when the terms couldn't be met. And kiss, kiss, bang, bang. He follows up by reminding us of the fact that he ensured that his wife turned up despite being told she wasn't invited to Senator Barley events, and the incident was filmed for PR gain. Some decent fight back there from Harry, but is it enough to bring the Yorks down? Well, Andrew's still on his feet, and he's decided that he's going to hand over to his freckly bangered wife as Sarah Ferguson steps into the ring. She's grinning like a deranged Titian loon as she brings to the fore the fact that she posed topless for photos while her financial advisor sucked on her toes, leading to public ridicule. She signed a lucrative retainer worth $134,000 a month with Hello magazine to provide exclusive stories about royal life, thus exploiting royal ties, a deal, and I can see this one's wife is looking on with green-eyed envy at such a lucrative deal. She created a luxury food brand using her title, which faced financial troubles and accusations of overpricing everyday items like biscuits and jams. Where she has led, this one's wife has followed. The grift was big with Fergie before this one's wife launched into that. She had a lifestyle company that failed, leaving £630,000 in debts and court summons for unpaid bills, highlighting her chronic financial mismanagement off the back of her royal title. She was filmed offering access to Prince Andrew for £500,000 and accepting £40,000 in cash in a tabloid setup that exposed her willingness to monetize royal connections. She allowed Jeffrey Epstein to pay off £15,000 of her debt, later calling it a gigantic error, but then sending a gushing email to him saying that he was her supreme friend and apologising for linking him to paedophilia, despite public denials. She covertly filmed a state orphanage in Turkey for a documentary, leading to an arrest warrant for trespass and privacy invasion, exploiting her status as a duchess for media content. Well, Harry is looking dazed. He's fallen back under that resurgence from the Yorks, and he's reaching his hand out for this one's wife. She looks nervous, but she's trying to get back in the ring again to salvage Harry after he struggled under a ginger onslaught. Ginger auntie battering ginger nephew there, as in comes this one's wife once again. The Duchess of Delusion points out that she slapped her name on generic wines sourced from a San Francisco supplier, charging premium prices as if she crafted them herself. It's reasonable, but it doesn't seem to be having any effect on that consummate grifter that is Fergie. This one's wife reminds us that she's operated as a drop shipper by reselling other brands' products under her American Riviera Orchard label without any original creation. She has expressed frustration over not receiving special treatment in Hollywood, believing that she ought to receive it. She's exhibited spoilt and manipulative behaviour, pointing out how she's grifted off her father, ensuring that he paid for school fees and drove her around and gave her a privileged upbringing which she then later threw in his face. There's certainly the grift there, but it doesn't really appear to be having much impact on Fergie at this point in time, as she is standing there looking pretty confident as she responds by telling this one's wife that Fergie was named in the leaks for offshore financial dealings from the Panama Papers, raising questions about tax avoidance and hidden assets. She demanded massive damages from Rupert Murdoch's company over the 2010 sting, claiming it ruined her career while she profited from the scandal herself. And now she tags in Prince Andrew. He's taking over, and this one's wife is now really struggling as another blow is landed. And that's below the belt, as both Fergie and Andrew land a hammer-like blow on this one's wife, grifting on the legal battle over £6.8 million unpaid on a luxury property mortgage from a Swiss chalet debt dispute, and then relayed on royal bailouts to sort it out. They then explained that they were forced to sell the Swiss property at a loss to pay back half of the owed amount, demonstrating their grifting and financial recklessness. Fergie steps out of the ring, leaving Andrew there. And he points out that he's introduced controversial Kazakh oligarchs to UK tax authorities and officials, smoothing deals in exchange for personal favours. He has accepted luxury gifts like high-end cars and watches from Saudi Arabian royals while promoting British arms sales through the controversial Al Yamamah deal. This one's wife flails her arm around, pointing out that she received some blood diamonds herself, but it hasn't gone down well as she's on her knees. Harry's scrambling into the ring as the two of them are trying to bring down Andrew. But he points out that he used the royal initiative Pitch at Palace to solicit investments from wealthy donors, blurring the lines between public service and personal networking for profit. That he received envelopes of cash from Jeffrey Epstein, which was left in his bedroom for young women as gratuities after visits. He continues the onslaught against this one's wife, who now looks like she could have been knocked unconscious, by explaining that he vacationed with arms dealers and smugglers like Tariq Khatuni, accepting gifts and hospitality in exchange for introductions to British officials. Harry is attempting to rescue this, as it looks like this one's wife, known as a substantial grifter, but she seems to be out for the count. What's Harry going to come up with? Is there anything left in the tank from him? He has been leaking family meetings to the press, where he sent details of a summons with King Charles, attempting to profit from that. There's been the exploitation of Grenfell fire victims, using the tragedy in interviews and content to position themselves as advocates. He points out that they've attended the LA fires as an attempt to grift off the back of people's tragedy, that they're well known as being grift ghouls, that he's defended his interview of Spare, claiming that it wasn't dirty laundry, but in actual therapy, but it still profited from sensational revelations about the royal family, but it doesn't seem to be having any effect as Fergie continues by getting back in the ring and saying that she endorsed Weight Watchers, serving as a high-profile spokesperson, leveraging her title and personal weight struggles to promote the diet program for personal gain. She pushed a $99 emulsifier weight loss program on TV, falsely tying it to Imperial College research, with unsubstantiated claims about accelerating immunity and energy. She received £225,000 from a Turkish businessman via her role as a brand ambassador, including funds funneled to her daughter's account as a birthday gift. She penned Mills and Boon style books under a pseudonym, but heavily marketed them, grifting on her Duchess status, turning personal fantasies into commercial ventures. She starred in an Oprah Winfrey Network series, framing her scandals as personal growth, monetizing her controversies for American audiences. And that's it. Harry's had enough. He's gestured to his staff and they've thrown the towel in. The towel has been thrown in. The grifters from Monty's shit show have been absolutely marmalised by the powerhouse grifting of the Duke and Duchess of York. It was initially a spirited challenge from this one's wife, who certainly got some premium grifting under her belt. Harry came in flailing and windmilling like a somewhat inexperienced grifter. Perhaps he hasn't trained as hard as he ought to have done with this one's wife. She sought to rescue matters by getting back into the ring again, but ultimately by that stage it was quite clear that there was only one way this tie was going to go, that the combined might of Prince Andrew and Sarah Fergie Ferguson, absolute titanic grifting from the two of them, and you have to say that they're looking like favourites to take the title, pulverising the Sussexes. What do you think of that, Brian? Well, I didn't think that the Sussexes would be emulsified as quickly as we've seen. It really was an exercise in two up-and-coming grifters being demonstrated how the professionals really do it. You've got that right, Brian, absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you see the sorry scene as the smelling salts are brought on in order to try and cause this one's wife to wake up as she's still unconscious on the canvas. Harry is on his knees, not for the first time, but he's not ringing King Charles, begging to come back into the royal family, as we can see Prince Andrew strutting around the ring, laughing, and yes, predictably enough, doing her victory dance. Sarah Fergie Ferguson has got her freckly bangers out and is shaking them at the judges. This was never going to go to a points decision. The Sussexes have been battered around the ring. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.